Hi, I'm Amanda Miles. I'm going to go over my project that I've done the past 8 weeks. Um, so the project that I worked on, let me share it here. It was for Del Mar College for their Upskill Coastal Bend initiative. And basically what it is, it's a website where uh, postgrad students could go to learn more about the field of study that they're interested in and what jobs are available to them if they continued on with that field of study and graduated. However, they were finding that students were leaving the area because they didn't know what was in Del Mar or what the Coastal Bend area or what jobs were available to them, or they would finish their field of study and then not know what to do with it, or they would be interested in a job and not know how to start. So I got with the project manager and decided to develop a course in Storyline Rise where students could use and get more information on what they're looking for in the field of study that they're interested in. Within this storyline, or with this project, it was for their port in Maine, so welding, crane tower operator. I started off with this project talking to Renee a lot, who's the project manager, about what exactly is needed. What do they have now? How do they know it's not working? What kind of assessments are being used or metrics are being used to know that it's not working? And once I was able to get enough information from her and see what they had out there already, what they do have out there already, they like. They wanted to keep the same sort of format. So Storyline Rise was new to them. Thankfully, they loved it and wanted to continue on with it. So once I talked to her, I asked all the questions that I needed to so I could really analyze what was needed. I went and developed a storyboard so I could start designing what I wanted to do. Once she approved my ideas, I went on and started to develop within Storyline Rise. Then while I was developing through Storyline Rise, I continued to talk to her, learn more about the targeted audience that was needed, or that was going to be possibly using this course. And we were looking at, upper educational, or 10th, 11th, 12th grade, post graduation, getting ready for college, or maybe just beginning college. So the Storyline Rise lesson that I created breaks up each of the jobs within port in marine. So the learner would read about the job, watch YouTube videos, and overview of what was going on, and then I had it directed, the education tab directed to how they could start. We wanted to keep them within Del Mar College, so all of the links are directly to Del Mar College. I also put in an interactive infographic that I'm not able to pull up right now. Oh, here it is. Good. So I don't want the learner to be able to open up PowerPoint this way. I plan on making it a PDF and then inputting it. However, on my Mac, I need to do it on my work computer. However, they'll be able to open this in PDF, save it to their desktop if they want. They have that ability. And then each picture will have them go to the Texas job site to learn more about the job that they're interested in. Let me get this off. I also included a knowledge check that would include questions on the different jobs, where they can go for their questions on education paths that they may choose. Now, throughout this whole project and development, I continued to have communication with Renee, asking questions about what she wanted. I wouldn't move forth completely until I got the final okay from her. So there was a lot of good communication that we've had. Fortunately, I've known her for a year or so through Corpus A&M. So I was able to send her text messages when needed. And that is my project. So I can share the Google Drive site so you can look at the information that I have out there. It's not completely 100% yet because I do want to PDF that PowerPoint so learners aren't able to change it or modify it. I don't want that. Once I get that completed, it will be done, and Renee will start using it, or she will present it to her boss and go from there. And we'll go from there. Any revisions that may be needed, she has both my emails and phone numbers, so she can reach out to me and let me know what needs to be changed. And then my hopes for this project is that it's used and learners are able to know what job they want and apply what they've learned through this course to know where they need to go for their education path. Make sure they're comfortable with the field of port and marine before they move on to complete the field of study. I want them to know that there's jobs out there that they will enjoy. And then there will be a survey that is sent out to the learners within 6 months after taking this course to ask if they applied for the field of study, if they're enjoying it, if it was helpful, if there was any changes or something they may not have liked about the course or wish that it had certain information. And that's it on my project. Okay, the next part of my video is going to be the questions that we needed to answer. Don't have it in front of me, so I'm going to pull up the first question that I answered. It was, you've been hired as an educational technology consultant at the George Washington High School, and the principal would like you to start by conducting a needs assessment of the teacher's training as regards to technology use. So, as an educational technology consultant, I would start a needs assessment by first shadowing the teachers to see what they already know when it came to technology use. I would make sure to shadow more than one to get a general idea rather than having it tied to one teacher, since each person is different, and really get the overall of what is needed when it came to that use. Now, the needs assessment questions would be based on what I saw that day or days of shadowing the teachers. Questions would consist of, what is your day like? How is technology used today? When is it used and how often? Is there something you're not comfortable with so you don't use it? If so, why are you uncomfortable using that tool? But I would make sure to also ask questions. What do you like? What technology do you use often? What are you comfortable with and why? Once I was able to write all these answers and questions down after talking to the teachers and shadowing them, and I had notes, I would take those questions and input them into Excel. So I had it in Excel. I'm sorry. With those questions, I'm going to just give an example here. Let's say that most of the teachers are not familiar with Google. I'm using Google as an example only because I'm not familiar with Google, well, before these classes that I've been taking, because for work, we don't use them. Anyways, so my example is after doing the needs assessment, speaking to the teachers, they don't use Google often because they're not familiar with it. They're not comfortable with it. But the school wants them to use it more. So from there, I would sit down with some SMEs. I would ask the principal, who's familiar with Google? Who can I talk to? Who knows it? And I would have them give me some sort of kindergarten high-level overview on what the teachers should be doing when they're using Google Drive. Once I had that, now it could be as simple as they need to just use Google Drive. They need to use Google Excel, Word, Google Sites, Google Classrooms, but they're not familiar with, I don't know, Google Sites or Google Classroom. So after getting all of this information, I would start with steps and enter them into Excel. I like using Excel because at the bottom you can do different sheets where you can branch out. So when I say branching, I'm thinking this sheet's going to be for Google Sites. This one's going to be for Google Classroom. And I would have them give me a step-by-step on how to use Google Sites. Go to google.com. Well, do you turn the computer on first? I mean, every detail I think is important to get. What does the teacher do when they sit down at their desk? Do they need to turn the computer on? Is it already on? I don't know, log in. That way, if other teachers, new teachers come and they're not familiar with how to log in or whatever the case may be, the lesson that's created is going to cover that information. So some of the objectives that I see some of the objectives that I see would be teachers would be able to use Google Drive, provide Google instruction to students. If students need to create something in Google Sites, I want the teachers to be comfortable in telling the students on how to use that. Another objective would be create an effective lesson plan within Google Drive or Google Classroom. And then from there, I would use Storyline 360 to develop Storyline or a Storyline Rise to develop my lesson or course. I like the idea of using Storyline because I'm familiar with it and I would be able to branch out the different subjects within Google. It's just easier for me to break up, so I would break it up for each section of Google Drive, Google Site, Word, Doc, Classroom, etc. And at the end of the lesson, I would hope that the teachers would have more of a solid or more confidence in using Google. I picture them taking an assessment that includes multiple choice, true, false, and I really like the idea of having them create something in Google Drive and sharing it, just like we do for Class Now. We share what we played with, what we've developed, what we've created. Or when I got my, I believe it was a Adobe certificate, we created something and we had to share it. So that's what I see now. Remember, Google is just an example. It's not something that I think most teachers need help or a walkthrough with, like I did. All right, and the next question that I'm going to focus on is you are the lead instructional technologist for the Center for High Quality Teaching at Swift College, and my boss